everybody, welcome to Hackitect Playground, next episode about the DevSecOps interview questions. Today, I will guide you through the third level of the questions that you can get on DevSecOps interviews. It will be a little bit different. I'll focus today more on the content than the game, but it will be still lots of fun and we'll have some quality time together. We are in the castle of the bad boss and we are going to the final end game. What we can get on interviews, and I actually get it on some interviews, went through really tough interviews, and I want to share with you all the struggles that I went through. For example, I was tasked to prepare the source code review of 4 different languages, 4 different applications in Java, Python, JavaScript, HTML, whenever. And you need to prepare also, as part of this interview, the report. That's the fun part, because it's not enough to just do the source code review, and they will give you some limited amount of time to prepare yourself. The source code that you see now on the screen took from SonarQube to show you some vulnerable code, and this kind of code can appear on your interview and can appear as a homework. So third level is mainly related to the homeworks that you will be asked to do, and it's really up to you if you will accept it or not, because it's not a paid job. It's not the job that somebody will give you reward, and you need to really think twice before you will accept it or not, because you can spend weeks on that. For example, some tasks are for 2 weeks, 3 weeks or more, and you will need to spend lots of time on it. For example, for me, I have my personal business. I'm working for full time, so it's exactly like 16 hours, and I don't have time to do additional homeworks. So these interviews are really tough for me sometimes, and I'm just deciding for the companies that are the best for me and that are my dream job. So let's move for, oh yeah, it looks that we are in the next room and there is another enemy who's trying to, give us a barrier to go into the end of the interview. And there is also an interesting scroll that we need to pick up in this game. And I will tell you about the interview that I need to pass. It was 48 hours interview. There was like pre-interview and post-interview. I passed through this level of interview, but ended on next round, which was 3 hours with 5 people with different languages, different DevSecOps questions, different source code reviews in C#, in ABAP, crazy stuff. There was a guy coding in front of me and asking me the questions: where is the buffer override and buffer overread, and which characters you need to escape, and what is wrong with my code. And it was real time, and I will tell you, as a security guy, I had a really tough time to go through that, but I'm trying to share with you at most. I will not tell you the company, and if you want to land the job in Silicon Valley or some really known companies, you really need to be ready for this. So example, 48 hours, 10 different tasks, 3 different source code reviews, JavaScript, Java, HTML, find the false positive, find the false negative, prepare the report, write a Python application in this 48 hours, which will do the file analysis on the operating system. Recursively will go through and calculate different types of the system, of the files, and basically write specific line from the file in the CLI, and then put it on GitHub or whenever. Really tough task, and I can tell you, you can spend a whole day on this simple task, and it will be really hard still to complete it as you want, because you need to count with absolute and relative paths. You need to write a client which will work for Linux and Windows environment. This will be really not easy. For example, they presented to me some vulnerable code, and they asked me to repair it and send them the code which will be bulletproof. For example, the password validation or some server application which expose some port through some variables in the code, and you need to remediate that. That can be really tough, and you can have really quality time for that. But I really enjoy this thing, 48 hours of pure fun. It's really good, but it's really tough to find the time to sleep. They just tell you now we are starting, and time is ticking, and after 48 hours you need to deliver. And there is also the task for debugging the open source and writing step by step what you have done, what you have completed, and write the complete guide for debugging. Crazy. And then design the test suite or test set for testing 100 different VMs on, I don't know, Fedora and Windows 7 or Windows 10, and approach them. It was really, I was like, okay, how I should do all of these tasks in 48 hours? And I think that there is a hidden thing. They test your prioritization of the tasks, which tasks you selected, which you completed, and how much of them you completed, because it's impossible to complete all of these things in 48 hours. And they told me that if I want to have like senior role, they can offer me one week interview, so I'll need to take basically a vacation for this. But that's the life, and that's why we are here. That's why I have opportunity to share this with you. Now we can talk more about another thing and about another room where we are now. So check it, and there's some treasure. Okay, let's pick some treasure. Pen testing tricks. Hack the presented system. That's on like 30% of interviews that I went through, even not for the pen tester role, but still I was asked to hack specific system that they presented to me. They say, hey Marek, here is our nice web application. Can you hack it? You have 1 hour, or you have 30 minutes, or you have 45 minutes to get inside and administer that. So you need to have hands-on, you need to have your real skills. And they say, yo Marek, we know you, but we really want to prove that you are not lying with your pen testing skills. And for this engineer role, you need to be able to do that. And the next question is bind shell versus reverse shell. Present us how you will do the bind shell and how you will do the reverse shell. Reverse shell is basically from the target machine to your attacker box. Bind shell is listening on the target machine to connect from your attacker box. You need to know this difference, explain it, and be ready to present it in Kali Linux. And imagine the guy who managed the risk assessment or risk security or secure software development lifecycle, and they tell you, please, can you do this for us? Because we consider that as a basic skills. Telling you how it goes on interviews, or use the SQL injection to get access to this admin portal. That's something that I was asked for an interview for one company, and they told me, yeah, here's our interface. Please, can you use some SQL injection to get inside? We basically do that, and we want to see your approach. Even if you haven't do that in the past, they want to see how you approach to the tooling, which tool you select, how you look for the information. All of these things, even if you didn't do that, then in worst case, they can be behind your back and check what you are doing. I really don't like it because it doesn't reflect the reality, but this is how it goes in the real life. Next room, there's some pale raider on the horse and some graveyard. Oh yeah. I always enjoy to create these games. And advanced security design and coding. One of the questions that I'm asking on my interviews is diagram with the different IP addresses, some cache, Apache, database, and please design the pen testing approach for me for black box, gray box, and tell me how you will approach to security on lazy caching and the write true cache, and what will be the security impact, and how you will pen test that, and how you will approach the deployment of such a caching system. That's one of the questions that I'm asking. Maybe we will meet each other on some interview, so be ready for that. I will ask for it. And basically, then next question is build a monitored app in the Docker with Terraform, Chef, Prometheus, Grafana, Oracle, in Oracle Cloud, in Alibaba, Azure, or whenever. Imagine that you are an AWS guy like me and somebody will tell you, can you do it in Alibaba, please? And show us how you will present it. You have 1 week. And what actually happens to me on one interview is that I completed the homework. And the manager approached me and told me, hey Marek, it was too easy, it's my bad, sorry. Can you do another homework? I was like, okay, you are just kidding me, I completed one homework, it was too easy for me. And I completed it really fast. And you think that this is really easy? And you are now asking me for an additional question or additional problem or additional something, so that's what I really consider as really rude, because you spend some time on the interview and now you should do another one, you should do another additional homework, which is really tough. And next thing is code, which was this was one really very strangest interview that I had. There was some like interviewing normal, but then was a homework to go the Go client with the calls to our API. So they pulled me their documentation for the API, told me that I should write it in Go. It must be secure. I should write a client for specific API calls. And what is really big fun is that they wanted to have it like bulletproof. They told me you have time whenever you want, and I told them, but I'm not a Go developer. They say, yeah, it's, you are not, but that's our homework, but this is, and there's another part of this homework that I will tell you later. Well, I'm in another room. There's a big stone, and I call it Stone of Shame. This is Hall of Shame. One of the most craziest questions that they were presented to me on the interviews. There are many of them, but I selected the funniest one for you. You can check it. RFC for the BGP or any protocol. You want from me the number? That really happens. Or build the SOC in 5 sentences. Give me 5 sentences to build a security operations center. My head was popping out. It was like crazy. Or tell us exact DHCP flow step by step. I know the dictionary and I can Google that in 30 seconds, so why I should know that by heart? I really don't know what is tested by that, but sometimes these questions are presented to you to check if you will say, I don't know. Lots of the managers, they want to hear, I don't know, because lots of people knows that if you are senior, you know what you don't know. And you are not the almighty person, and you know that basically you have some gaps, and that's the sign that you are senior. You are self-aware of your weaknesses and strengths. And for example, another question, what is the minimal allowed profit margin for security in country exception? And I was like, okay, why I should know that? And there was, yes, you are the consultant and you should know what is the profit that you can build on our services. I was like, okay, why I should know that and how it is related to the security? And that's a shameful question for me. And write the application in front of us and we will watch you, how you will code and how secure it will be. That's the most annoying thing that it can do, because I cannot imagine that somebody, like 3 people will look at the screen and watch how I'm writing variables or loops or whenever. That's super stressful, super rude and super crazy at the same time. But that happens. And oh yeah, there's a boss. So I hope that we will beat him now. And oh yeah, you pathetic scum, how dare you? Okay, he's really rude to us. It's time to beat his ass. Okay, something is happening. Oh yeah, we should meet his final form. Yes. And there is some cage, you see that? So we should maybe save somebody. Okay, advanced security design and coding. You will be presented several things. For example, explain this or that, or tell me what is the problem, blah blah blah. But find a vulnerability in real time when somebody is coding. That's something what I found as really tough. And for example, explaining the saga pattern, that was one of the craziest things that happened to me. I'm working with the microservices all the time, but I never heard about saga pattern. After the interview, I went home and I was like destroyed, and I was like telling, what is that? I never heard about it. And they told me that I'm basically not sufficient to go for this job because I don't know the saga pattern, for example. So in the bonus of this video, you will get some additional information how to look for the design patterns and prepare yourself for the proper interview. Next thing is explain and tell us the exact vulnerability for the buffer override and buffer overread, and what are the differences between buffer override, buffer overread, how you will protect against it, what is ASLR, anonymous space layer randomization and data execution prevention, how it is related with buffer overflow, which tools you will use. And I had an interview where was a guy who coded in front of me, like preparing different buffer overflows and asking me what it will do with the operating system. And for me, it was crazy. I didn't have any tools, anything, and I just see the screen how somebody's coding, and I see that he thinks that I'm just a stupid person, that I'm not able to debug the vulnerabilities in the real time. But that was the interview. Now, I wasn't prepared for that, and that was the question for the security guy. And remember the Go client that we talked about? There was a second part to build the CI/CD with container checks, with source code review, with dynamic testing, with everything. And I was thinking, okay, that's the job for whole team, for the DevOps engineer, security guy, sysadmin, a developer. And if they want me to do all of these things, I don't think so that there is enough salary for me to do such a things. So world is crazy sometimes. These interviews can be really annoying, they can be really hard, they can make you feel that you are useless. Sometimes they are designed to make you feel like that, to decrease your salary. That's also one of the tricks that I know from lots of corporate companies. But don't get annoyed by that. Be strong, fight for your place, find the job that you like. If you have dream job, focus on it. Focus on what you like, what you enjoy, develop yourself. If you don't know answers from these questions, or if you don't know how to do that, don't bother with that. You have plenty of time to do it. Lots of people are not successful in their 18s. You have time, you have space, and you can enjoy it. That's my advice to you. Enjoy all the things that you do. Enjoy these questions. Maybe create something for you to try it. Try some of them, and feel free to approach me with your feedback. What do you like, what you don't like, or the questions that you have some more in detailed questions on how it went, or advices what you are interested in. And it looks that the dragon is telling us that we should use the scroll against our final enemy. I will do it. And we save the heroes. Heroes are saying thank you for saving us and welcome to the team. And it will be great to join you. You will join the great team if you will be able to overcome all the struggles of the interview process. Wish you the best. And is this the end? Maybe yes, and maybe not. Check the bonus material. Cheers. Let's check together how to approach the specific patterns. What is really good source of information is a Microsoft architecture reference, which you can find easily on Microsoft pages. What I want to mention, and very important thing to know, is the Saga distributed pattern transactions. It's really related to microservice, orchestration, and distributed transactions. And I really recommend you to go through this pattern and understand it. What is also really good, if you will check the architecture reference, not only for Saga, but if you are looking for lots of different categories in design patterns. So let's go to design patterns and overview. Let's check the cloud design patterns before the interview and check different patterns that you are not familiar with. And I really recommend you to check them, because I'm also not familiar with all of these things, and they can be part of the interviews, like ambassador, competing consumers, and all of these things, and you can be asked on the interview on such topics. Please, regarding microservices, focus on Saga, which is very important, and focus also on sidecar. What is the sidecar pattern? What is the context of the problem? What is the solution? And let's read through that before the interview to be familiar, because maybe you solve it in the common job that you do every day, but you don't know that this is related to your job. You also see different categories, and from the security and resilience perspective, I recommend to go to categories and security and resiliency. Here, security patterns, like through the federated identities, gatekeeper, and different security resources, and take it more in generic approach. and then the resiliency patent like bulkhead, circuit breaker, and all other that you will basically appreciate in your common job, and also security resiliency. This will help you to be better prepared for the interview process. What is also really good to know is a modern application development on AWS, which can give you another picture from the Microsoft one, and it will tell you basically from the white paper perspective different approaches to the modern application development regarding the CI/CD, which services are really good, some further reading, lots of details where to look, on what to look, about the basic attributes. There are lots of high-level information if we'll go through that, but there are also very good microservice-based architectures helping you at least in your daily job and also helping you to be ready for the interviews. If somebody will come to you and ask you, how you will build the API gateway with the web client and how you will manage the API keys and how you will encrypt them. So lots of these things can be part of the interview, and these white papers can really help you to be prepared, not only from the interview perspective, but for something new in your daily job. So thank you for watching today's episode, and I hope that we will see each other next time.